A chilling piece of news hits industrial France. Behind the gates of the Sochaux factory, the historic heart of Peugeot, thousands of workers are gathering their tools. One final time, they bow their heads in silence as cameras record what seems like the end of an era. Some have spent 30 years here. Others are the third generation of the same family to work for Peugeot. The plan is huge. Thousands of job cuts and the closure of the iconic Aulnay-sous-Bois site. A lion logo still shines on the walls, symbolizing an industrial power France thought would last forever. But that night in Sochaux, the roar quiets. A few decades earlier, Peugeot Société Anonyme was the jewel of French ingenuity, the mark of know-how, rigor, and mechanical precision. We exported French-made goods worldwide. The group, valued at billions, dominated Europe and impressed Japan with its diesel engine expertise and rally racing successes. But behind the trophies and patriotic speeches, the world was changing at a speed that Peugeot Société Anonyme refused to see. The company believed it was untouchable, and today Peugeot Société Anonyme no longer exists. Its name has merged into a global conglomerate with values far from its origins. Stellantis. Hi, Team Mindset. I hope you're doing well. Following your many requests, today we're going to dive into one of the most symbolic industrial downfalls in French history, that of Peugeot Société Anonyme, the lion that thought it could roar forever. In this investigation, we'll see how Peugeot became the symbol of French industrial genius, and how globalization and arrogance slowly killed its lead, and why, after the 2012 crash, the rebirth looks more like survival than victory. This story is a universal lesson that tells what happens to any company that confuses heritage with innovation. Let's go. The assembly line's clatter echoes in the factory. Workers in blue overalls tighten the bolts on the very latest Peugeot 205 GTIs. At that time, every car that comes off this line is a national pride. Peugeot Société Anonyme is France winning. The brand is on top of Europe. In 1985, the group sold over 3 million vehicles annually, had nearly 200,000 employees, and exported to 160-plus countries. It's a rare industrial success. Peugeot stands for rigor, Citroen for creativity, an unlikely but effective partnership. The lion logo dominates roads, ads, and minds. The Peugeot 205 released in 1983 became a cultural phenomenon. With over 5 million units sold, these patriotic ads have France talking about the car. Behind this success is the Peugeot family, a dynasty that has ruled its empire like a private kingdom for over a century. They cultivate an almost monarchical vision of the company there: caution, tradition, and discipline. The Peugeots aren't trying to become rock stars. They just want to last quietly. The state applauds, the press calls it the jewel of French industrial genius, the engineers feel invincible, and the workers feel respected. The German competitors look at this machine with envy, as it works wonderfully. At political dinners, Peugeot Société Anonyme symbolizes that France can rival Germany and Japan, but this greatness has a price. The company remains unchanged, using the same engineers, methods, and processes for decades. Innovations face 10. Validation steps and all risks are seen as unnecessary. Balance is prioritized over revolution. A former executive would later sum it up: at Peugeot Société Anonyme, we don't make mistakes. We just take 20 years to react. As the world prepares for globalization, Peugeot Société Anonyme remains complacent with its success. And like all empires, it's the moment when everything seems stable that the foundations start to crack. At Peugeot Société Anonyme headquarters, executives review a chart showing steady sales and decent margins. Everything appears to be going well. At the bottom of the chart, a red line draws attention as Toyota, Volkswagen, and Hyundai keep rising. Peugeot Société Anonyme believed it was safe then. Diesel triumphed. In Europe, political subsidies are flowing, and the 206 and 307 are selling by millions. Engineers are confident. We lead in France and Europe, but the world now has no borders. The Japanese enforce their method: total quality, reliability, obsessive control, and cost management. The Koreans, meanwhile, offer cheaper cars with 7-year warranties built with precise assembly. And Peugeot Société Anonyme, well, they're falling asleep. The company lives on its own turf, like an old king who doesn't realize the war has already begun. These cars are excellent, no problem with that. But think about it, for a declining European market, Toyota is building its presence in the United States, but Peugeot firmly refuses to return after quietly leaving in 1991. Too risky, too expensive, not our culture. In 2005, Peugeot Société Anonyme sells 90% of its cars in Europe, A suicidal dependence? Diesel accounts for 60% of sales, a bet on a fuel that the world will soon condemn. And while the rest of the world is already dreaming of electric, Peugeot Société Anonyme is perfecting its high-pressure direct injection engine, which runs on diesel. An analyst later said Peugeot Société Anonyme was among the world's best engineers, but for a world that no longer existed. Factory tensions are rising as employees sense something is wrong. The cars are good, but the brand is losing momentum. All models look similar, profit margins are shrinking, and bureaucracy is stifling everything. At Toyota, an idea goes from drawing to production in less than a year. At Peugeot Société Anonyme, it takes 3 years, 15 meetings, and the approval of Paris, Sochaux, and Poissy. The engineering culture, once its strength, becomes its biggest handicap. In 2008, the financial crisis hits. Peugeot Société Anonyme's sales fell 15% in a year, from around 3.4 million vehicles in 2007 to 2.9 million in 2008. Revenue drops to 48 billion euros from over 60 billion before the crisis. Operating margins collapse, dropping from 3% to less than 1%. And for the first time in decades, Peugeot Société Anonyme reports a net loss of 343 million euros. Volkswagen, however, absorbs the shock, although, as shown in another video, they're facing new issues. Toyota as well. Both giants have huge cash reserves, global markets, and hybrid-focused lineups. Peugeot Société Anonyme. They lack both a war chest and a plan B, with 90% of sales relying on Europe. In recession, the company survives on debt. From 2008 to 2011, net debt tops 3 billion euros, and experts downgrade the group's rating to junk. It's highly speculative and risky. The once proud lion is now on life support. Meanwhile, the world keeps changing. Meanwhile, Elon Musk unveils the Tesla Roadster, the first mass-produced modern electric car. It goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.9 seconds. The French engineers laugh at it. That will never work. But the story, as you know, is just beginning. Hundreds of workers block the factory gates, holding signs and shouting. Behind them, a century of history nears its end. The site will close. Peugeot Société Anonyme cuts 11,000 jobs, causing a national shock. The government intervenes, and unions call it industrial betrayal. As cameras capture angry faces, a harsh reality emerges. Financial statements report a 5 billion euro loss in 1 year, and Peugeot Société Anonyme has lost over half its market value in 10 years. The stock fell from 30 euros to under 4 euros in 2007. Sales are down, cash flow is drying up, debt is soaring, and banks are growing skeptical. The lion, once a symbol of power, is now a burden. The French government had to guarantee loans for its banking arm, Peugeot Société Anonyme Finance. It's more than just a company we're saving. It's a piece of France, declares the Minister of Industrial Renewal, Arnaud Montebourg. But behind the patriotic rhetoric, a cold truth. Peugeot Société Anonyme is on the brink of collapse. The issues are clear. Too many unprofitable models, over-reliance on Europe and diesel, slow internal bureaucracy, and lack of innovation for the electric revolution. Most importantly, a family that won't let go. The Peugeot family owns 25% of the capital but has lost control. They reject mergers and foreign investment. With funds dwindling, the unthinkable happens in 2014. The French government buys a stake in the company. The Chinese manufacturer joins, each taking 14% of the group. The Peugeot family loses control. The lion is no longer France's symbol of sovereignty. It's now a struggling brand, supported by Paris and Beijing, a mix of humiliation and resignation. A former executive would later say, "We survived, but we lost everything. Our independence, pride, and soul." As Peugeot Société Anonyme struggles, the world moves on quickly. Tesla tops 10,000 deliveries. Volkswagen sets new records. Toyota ranks first globally. France, meanwhile, helplessly witnesses the end of its industrial empire. In the council room, a new face makes his entrance. Carlos Tavares, former Renault #2, has taken over a struggling empire. The goal is to save Peugeot Société Anonyme without betraying it. From the very first weeks, the tone is set. You don't save a company by being sentimental. Tavares cuts 700 million euros in costs in the very first year. He streamlines product lines, ends unprofitable projects, and halves technical platforms. The factories operate more efficiently, inventories decrease, and engineers must justify expenses. Unions are outraged, but the results are clear. In 2014, Peugeot Société Anonyme still shows minus 55 million euros in its bank account. But starting in 2015, the miracle begins. 1.2 billion euros in profits, an operating margin of 5%, something not seen in over a decade. 2 years later, Peugeot Société Anonyme doubled down. 2016 profits were 2.1 billion euros, 2017, 2.9 billion euros with a 6.1% margin, 2018, 3.3 billion euros and a record 8.4% margin. In 4 years, Tavares turns Peugeot Société Anonyme into Europe's most profitable car maker as sales recover. Between 2013 and 2018, the group goes from 2.8 to 3.9 million vehicles sold per year. The Peugeot 3008 becomes a huge hit, with more than 700,000 units sold in 2 years. The 5008 and Citroen C5 Aircross SUV follow the trend. Investors who left are now returning in large numbers. Peugeot Société Anonyme's stock rose from 4 euros in 2012 to over 24 euros in 2018. The stock is ripe. Multiplied by 6, the media talk about a French industrial miracle. The Financial Times ranks Tavares among the 10 most successful CEOs in the world. But behind the revival, the truth is colder. The lion is breathing, that's true, but on foreign oxygen. In 2021, Peugeot Société Anonyme and Fiat Chrysler merged to form Stellantis, a global group of 14 brands including Peugeot, Citroen, Opel, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Jeep, and Chrysler. More than 6 million cars sold per year and a valuation of over 60 billion euros. Tavares smiles. Today we are creating a global mobility giant. And that's true. But in the room, a strange silence lingers. Peugeot Société Anonyme is gone. No more French flags, Sochaux in the logo, or names on the buildings. The line still exists, but now among global brands. Strategy is decided in Amsterdam or Detroit. France is now just one of many offices. On paper, everything is fine. Stellantis is making record profits, surpassing Volkswagen on the stock market, and Tavares is becoming a management legend. But on the street, no one dreams of a Peugeot Société Anonyme anymore. It's not just a story about cars, it's a metaphor for industrial France, its greatness and its blindness. A company is about passion, discipline, and mechanical genius, but it can die from pride, sluggishness, and a dangerous belief. Our heritage protects us. The lesson for every entrepreneur is harsh but simple. In business, it's not the one who roars the loudest who survives, it's the one who hears change before the others. Do you think France can still create a revolutionary brand? A SpaceX, an Apple, or maybe another industrial revolution? Or do you think its industrial genius is doomed to survive under other flags? Between an empire resisting change and a startup provoking it, the older one rarely wins. Similar to Court Pie, the French steak empire, which grew complacent and made an unusual mistake. Then it let itself be overtaken by younger and more innovative companies, as you can see in the video that's showing.